In the far-off kingdom of Obodijomo, there lived a beautiful and powerful maid named Adana. She worked in the palace of the queen. She served her with unwavering loyalty and dedication. Adana was known for her intelligence, beauty, and ability to get things done. She was conscious of her beauty and could exude it possible without knowing. She was greatly admired and liked by almost everyone in the palace. One day, the king of the kingdom came to the palace to seek the queen's consent on an important matter concerning the kingdom. Adana was in the room at the time, and the moment the king set eyes on her, he was stunned by her beauty and aura of power. He was so captivated by her presence that he found himself drawn to her. He asked after the queen, and Adana told him she had gone out. He found himself telling Adana why he had come to seek the queen, which was unusual, and Adana gave him powerful advice that promoted the kingdom to a height of grace. The king was impressed by that. Her beauty and brain made him all the more interested in her. Adana, however, was not impressed by the king's attention. She was a proud and independent woman and did not like to be just another consort for the queen. Didn't want to be a conquest for the king. Despite his advances, she remained aloof and distant, refusing to give in to his charm. The king, on the other hand, was determined to win Adana's heart. He knew that he had to prove his worthiness to her. She was a small girl. He felt he could wind his finger around her to accept him. So he started to try his best to make sure he got her. Started to show her with gifts and compliments. He would send her messages and presents every day, telling her how much his admiration for her was growing and wanted her to be his queen. Adana was hesitant to accept the king's advances, but she soon felt he was sincere in his feelings for her. She began to see the good in him and fell in love with him. She knew their relationship was forbidden. She was only a maid in the palace, and he was the king of the kingdom. Yet she could not hold back. She felt as a king, he would know what to do. Thus, the wind of destiny was blowing. No man could hold or stop the phenomenon as they headed toward the trail. Despite the challenges of being able to see each other, the king and Adana continued to meet each other secretly. As the king arranged, they would meet in the palace secret chamber of the king when the king wanted. And that was when everyone was asleep. There the king would share his hopes and dreams for the future for both of them. He would talk about leaving the kingdom and starting a new life together, where they would be free to love each other without fear of judgment or persecution. As their relationship grew stronger, Adana was carried away by the shower of his affection and became pregnant with the king's child. She was overjoyed at becoming a mother to a child that belonged to the love of her life. She knew that happiness would not last forever because of the queen and what the community would say. She became afraid of what would happen when the queen found out about their relationship and the child she was carrying. One night, the queen came into her room to look for her and found her absent at such a time. She hurriedly went looking for her husband to tell him about it. On getting to his room, she found him also absent from the room. She became worried. Although not suspecting, she sent one of her maids to look for Adana. But Adana could not be found that night. So the following day, the queen interrogated her, but she gave a lame excuse. And so the queen started to monitor her movement, suspecting her of having an affair or having something to do, but she was not even aware that it was her husband. She kept spies to watch Adana and be sure of where she went at night. Later, one of the queen's royal guards came with the news that they saw the king and Adana coming out of the secret chamber. The queen mounted watch and caught them red-handed himself. She was furious. She could not believe her husband had betrayed her with a maid, a mere maid for that matter. The worst of it was that she had only 2 children who were girls. What if Adana gave birth to a baby boy? If she became pregnant and gave birth? At that time, when she was interrogating, Adana now agreed and told her that she was pregnant. What? Pregnant for my husband, the king? How dare you, a maid? What will happen to her position as the queen? She asked herself with such a thought within her. She was enraged and ordered Adana to be banished from the palace and the kingdom, never to be seen or heard from again in that kingdom. Adana was heartbroken at the thought of leaving the man she loved. She was crying. But she remembered the promise of the king, and she started to beg the king to come with her because they love each other so that they will go. But to her surprise, the king refused, saying that he had to stay in the kingdom and fulfill his duty as a ruler. What? Can a man betray me so much like this? This man that professed love, this man that stopped everything of our living the kingdom, she thought, she cried. Adana was devastated and heartbroken. You can never trust a man, she cried, helplessly in disappointment. She left the palace and settled in a nearby village and knew she would never forget the love she had shared with the king and the betrayal of his trust. The gifts the king gave to her, she sold them and used the money to acquire a place where she lived with her pregnancy until she gave birth to a son. Fortunately for her, she gave birth to a son and named him after his father. She raised him to be a strong and proud young man. She raised Prince Ikenga with love and care. She did not disclose his heritage and being the heir apparent to the throne because she wanted him to live without regret. As he grew older, Prince Ikenga became known throughout the land for his wisdom and compassion, just like his father. Years later, the king's health began to fail, and the queen started to rule the kingdom. The queen had become increasingly tyrannical, and the people were suffering under her rule. They longed for a new leader who would bring peace and prosperity back to the land. Word of Prince Ikenga's reputation reached the kingdom, and the people began to whisper his name as a potential savior. They knew he was the king's son, but the queen had driven them out of the kingdom. Eventually, the council of elders under the king approached him secretly without the queen's knowledge as to what was to be done to save the kingdom from total collapse. The king knew what the queen was doing was wrong and how she was ruling the kingdom and failing, and he was not happy about it. After much discussion and no solution was found, they brought the idea of getting back his heir and only son, to take over his rightful inheritance, because at that time the child must have been grown up. The king began to cry before his subjects, and they pitied him as he remembered and regretted how he had treated Adana. She had been a small girl, and he would not have taken advantage of her. He felt ashamed of himself. He knew his time on earth was coming to an end, and agreed. He told them to go and look for Adana and his son and bring them back to the kingdom. People were sent out to go and seek for mother and son. They were found and summoned to the palace. There the truth of his birth was revealed to him. In fact, Prince Kinga was surprised. And the king apologized to mother and son. But Prince Kinga, the young man, was shocked to learn that he was the son of the king and a beautiful maid. But he was also filled with a sense of pride and purpose that he was from a royal family. But when he was told to rule, at first, Prince Kinga was hesitant to take on such a task. He had never sought power or authority for himself, and he was content to live a simple life the way his mother had taught him. But as he was suffering from the shock in the lives of his people, he saw what the queen was doing to the people, and he knew that he had to act. He didn't have heart for hardness. So Prince Kinga got set out for the kingdom and began to campaign to liberate it from the queen's tyrant. She was captured and tried for her crimes, and Prince Kinga was crowned the new king of the kingdom. In fact, the father was very happy. The father blessed him. The young man took his rightful place as the ruler of the kingdom. He was a just and fair king, loved by his people for his wisdom and compassion. Throughout his reign, he never forgot what he passed through with his mother. He proved to be a just and fair ruler, as his mother had taught him. He worked tirelessly to rebuild the kingdom and restore its prosperity and peace. In the end, Prince Kinga's legacy was secure. He had proven himself to be a true leader. He had done so in honor of his mother, who had sacrificed everything for him to take the mantle of responsibility, humility, and grace to lead the kingdom to greatness. That is the end of the story. Please don't forget to subscribe and like my videos. Share it. That is the least you can do to make me happy. Thanks for watching.